The Crithian delegation stood in perfect formation outside Conference Room 7, their obsidian scales catching the sterile light of the Galactic Council station. Commander Vexthor, eldest of the warrior caste, kept his clawed hand resting on the plasma pistol at his hip. His subordinates, 3 young hunters barely past their second molting, shifted their weight from foot to foot, a gesture that would have meant nervousness in any species but theirs. In Crithians, it meant anticipation. "She's been in there for 2 cycles, hissed Scout Krivan, his forked tongue tasting the recycled air. The human female. Alone with the tribunal? 47 minutes, Vexthor corrected, not bothering to hide his amusement at his scout's perception of time. Humans measured things differently than the Apex Confederacy did. Shorter lifespans made them count smaller increments, and she requested the private session. The youngest, Hunter Zixrel, flexed his killing claws. Humans are prey species. Binocular vision, blunt teeth, no natural weapons. I've studied them. They evolved running from predators on their death world. Why does the tribunal grant them such respect? Vexthor had wondered the same thing once. That was before the Epsilon campaign, before he'd watched a human medic named James cross 2 kilometers of open ground under plasma fire to reach wounded Crithian soldiers. The man had been hit 4 times, wounds that would have killed Vexthor's kind instantly, yet continued dragging warriors to safety. When asked why, James had simply said, "Someone had to. Humans didn't make sense." That was their greatest weapon. The briefing room door dilated with a pneumatic hiss. Orla Chen walked out, and she was smiling. Not the predatory smile of a hunter who'd cornered prey. Not the nervous smile of someone who'd barely escaped judgment. This was something else entirely. The kind of smile that said she'd just negotiated the impossible and knew it. She was small, even for a human. Perhaps 165 centimeters, with dark hair pulled back in their military fashion. Her uniform bore the insignia of the Terran Diplomatic Corps, but Vexthor had read her file. Before the Corps, she'd been something called a kindergarten teacher. The translation software had struggled with that term. "Commander Vexthor," Orla said, her accent turning his name into something almost musical. "The tribunal is ready for your testimony now. I've prepared the ground for you." The 3 young Crithians stiffened. They'd expected to find her in tears, or at minimum shaken. The tribunal was composed of the 7 eldest species in the galaxy, all of them predators who'd climbed to sentience over the corpses of their competitors. They didn't negotiate. They dictated. "What did you do?" Vexthor asked carefully. Orla's smile widened. "I told them a story." Inside the briefing room, Elder Shattering Claw of the Vexel Dominion radiated confusion through his carapace patterns. Beside him, High Judge Cormalith of the Cerithian Collective kept her 6 eyes fixed on the datapad in her primary manipulator. "This changes everything," Cormalith said finally. "She used mathematics," rumbled Administrator Thex of the Morvathian Horde. His bulk shifted in the reinforced chair. Simple, undeniable mathematics. The numbers still glowed on the central display. Casualty ratios, resource expenditure, diplomatic success rates, 100 other metrics that painted a picture the tribunal had been avoiding for 3 cycles. In every conflict involving human integration teams, fatalities dropped by 63%. Not just human fatalities, total fatalities. When humans were embedded with Crithian hunter packs, with Morvathian shock troops, with Cerithian intelligence operatives, they all came home alive more often. She called it kindergarten mentality. Shattering Claw said, mandibles clicking in what might have been laughter. The philosophy she learned teaching their young. Everyone goes home safe. No one gets left behind. We solve problems together. And then she showed us it works on a galactic scale. Prey species thinking, Cormalith observed. But there was no mockery in her tone. Perhaps, Thex acknowledged, but effective. The door opened. Vexthor entered, his posture submissive in the traditional way, but his eyes were bright with something the tribunal recognized. Hope. "Commander," Cormalith began, "we've reviewed Ambassador Chen's proposal. She suggests that human integration specialists be assigned to every joint military operation. She argues that your species, all our species, benefit from what she calls perspective diversity." Vexthor's claws clenched. This was the moment. Either the tribunal would accept that prey species might have something to teach predators, or they'd reject it and doom countless soldiers to unnecessary deaths. "I support her proposal," he said. "Without reservation. Why?" Shattering Claw demanded. "Your kind has hunted for survival for 10 million years. What can humans teach the Apex Confederacy?" Vexthor thought of James bleeding out but refusing to stop. He thought of the human commander who'd shared her rations with his troops when supply lines failed. He thought of the human engineer who'd sung something called a lullaby to calm a dying Crithian warrior far from home. "They teach us that survival isn't just about being the strongest predator," Vexthor said quietly. "Sometimes it's about making sure everyone survives together. They call it humanity. We should learn what it means." Outside, Orla Chen waited. When Vexthor emerged, his scales had shifted to the deep purple of satisfaction. "They approved it?" she asked, though she already knew. "All measures, full integration, human advisors throughout the Confederacy military structure." He studied her with Predator's eyes that had learned to see differently. "How did you know they'd listen?" Orla's smile softened. "Because every parent, every teacher learns the same truth. The strongest person in the room isn't the one who can hurt everyone else. It's the one who can protect everyone else. Even predators understand that once they have cubs." The three young Crithians emerged behind their commander, looking at Orla with new understanding in their slit-pupiled eyes. "Ambassador," Zixril said hesitantly, "would you teach us this kindergarten mentality?" Orla Chen laughed, a warm human sound that echoed through the cold station corridors. "That's why I'm here, Hunter. That's why we're all here." She walked away down the corridor, still smiling, leaving 4 apex predators standing in her wake and wondering how a prey species had just changed the galaxy. The answer, Vexthor realized, was simple. Humans had never actually been prey. They'd just been waiting for everyone else to catch up. End.